up in here. We bring it fresh, direct, and undiluted, and that's because we are Enterprise Television. And I welcome you to Enterprise Friday from the economic hub of Nigeria, Lagos. I am Henry Ighodalo.
And I'm Choma Okoya.
We're about to head to our newspaper review segment, but just before that, if you haven't already, please join us and have a say in what we say by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV7, and do visit us daily at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Our guest for this segment are Barrister Evans Ufeli, the barrister, law and public affairs analyst, and Cyril Abaku, a journalist and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Good morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
You're welcome once more. All right, so without much ado, let's kickstart our newspaper headlines today with the first daily. What do we have, Chuma?
Yeah, the first daily on our decks is the Guardian newspaper. And the big story here, parties kicks as courts deliver upsets in Edo. Rivers Power gains. Details are on page 6.
All right, so since it's the big story here, I would love us to get into some insights on that particular story.
Sure.
Justice Iyan Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has voided the People's Democratic Party governorship election in Edo State that produced Ighodalo as its candidate. It further said that the election conducted on February 22, 2024 was voided on the grounds that 378 delegates who were supposed to vote at the primary elections were unlawfully excluded by the PDP. It further added that Justice Ekwo nullified the primary elections while delivering judgment in a suit instituted by the aggrieved delegates. Barrister Evans Ufeli, the Mohammed Idris, the Deputy Public Secretary of the PDP, said that this was primarily an educational exercise or legal exercise, that it doesn't hold water. What do you say to that?
Academic exercise.
Yes, academic exercise, sorry. That was what he said.
Is he giving a parallel ruling to that the court has delivered already, or what? Because the truth is that there were evidence that a huge number of delegates were excluded from participation. They didn't vote, okay? Much so that even on that day they had a parallel primaries. The former governor of Edo State was having his own in one end, while the other was going on at the stadium, okay? And we saw that he even said it then, Shuaibu, that so many persons who were qualified to vote were not allowed to vote. And then you see, that election, okay, we saw how even before they got Ighodalo, there were other problems associated with it. You remember? There were problems before the primaries, okay? And after the primaries, persons who are aggrieved went to court. And now the court has voided that issue. So yesterday I was talking to one of the PDP chieftains from Ogun State. He's been here before, he's been to our studio before. And he was saying that why is it that there's a conspiracy against the PDP? I said, does this look like a conspiracy against the PDP or the party in Edo State? They are not doing the right thing. Because if pre-election matters, okay, can stop you from the actual elections, okay? Because what this means is that, do they still have the time required by law to go back and organize another primaries?
But they said they are going for an appeal.
Yes,
and also the
appeal is the option.
Yes, the deputy public secretary equally said that the INEC was there during the election. So how do you
No. What he's saying is wrong. INEC is supposed to observe the primaries. INEC does not conduct primaries. By the provision of the Electoral Act, INEC is supposed to be there to observe, okay? And observation does not mean INEC will participate or tell them what to do or what not to do. just observe, write their reports. Okay? So if the party willingly excluded members, delegates who should vote, INEC didn't have the power to go there and say, go and call all your members to come and vote. That's not INEC's duty. It's the party that conduct that election. INEC is just to observe what they are doing. INEC is not supposed to tell them that this is wrong or right. Just to observe. It's only the court that have the powers to say this is wrong and this is right. So the fact that INEC was there has nothing to do with what has transpired. So didn't the party know that the delegates who have been accredited and assigned to vote, didn't they know that they ought to vote? So this is not the first time where we have seen pre-election matters affecting it. I just said now that they have enough time, because assuming but not considering that on appeal, this decision is upheld on all what will happen? It means that the PDP will not have a candidate.
Thank you, Barrister Philip. Over to you, Cyril. Yeah. Now, when this suit was filed, it was actually filed 8 February 2024, and primaries took place 22nd February 2024. Now, who filed the suit? Because according to the section 84 subsection 14 of the Electoral Act, delegates are not supposed to, or do not have the right standard to actually challenge a primary. Now, the outcome of this primary can only be challenged by aspirants, and only any aspirant that can challenge this must be from the Edo State. Now, what local standard does this person have to challenge the primaries conducted?
Frankly speaking, this is also the headache I have. It's not just one, it's 3 of them actually that came together to say they're going to go to challenge. And then we also hear that even when INEC came to, the INEC didn't even file any process throughout when this process is last.
INEC did not file, yeah.
So these are some of the incongruences you will find. And for me, you see now, if you want to cherry pick whether the plaintiffs and claimants had locus or not, but the court has given a ruling. Like they say in law, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. And that in law, whatever, such a thing is a nullity. But the fact is that in Nigeria, if you know that your enemy is sure to get a judgment, if you go, you know that judgment whether it's right or wrong, it to stand because it's law. What I hear by saying that they will go and appeal. Do they know how to get what their opponents got, how they got it? If they have the way, if they have the own way of getting it, then they can be then maybe they can be confident enough to appeal.
PDP did not even challenge it in court; they just rest their case.
But where this matter, so if you can project where this is going, then clearly we can all see a very clear path where it is going to end. For me, my real concern is this. I had now Minister of Works, former Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State, say, I think it was when he won the election. He said that the way they've learned politics is you prepare for your primaries, the main election, then court case up to the Supreme Court. That's when you can say you're rest assured. Today is a different case. Today it is pre-election, then pre-election court cases, then election court cases, then post-election court cases. What they call the over-judicial, in fact, the judicialization of the electoral process, for me, does not bode well for our country. It just goes to show that our politics is not matured. The politicians themselves are not matured. Their parties are not matured. Today, I hope we also know that what you call PDP, APC, maybe Labour Party, and even NNPP, there are no fine lines. So the real politicians are not are in a way, in a manner of speaking, partyless. They are money back to just sit back and look for which party they are going to anoint, and then fund crisis in all the other parties to keep them busy. That's what they are seeing here. If indeed the law says that people who didn't do something like that in Canada that almost got the city burned down. When people that did that, when people that didn't have locals, and then the argument was that at the time, what was his name? Abba Yusuf was given the ticket of the party, that he was not even the member of the party. The same party ruled differently, but the same appeal court ruled differently by this case. In Tinubu's case, they ruled differently in the case of Governor Caleb Motfwan. The
facts were not the same now.
Yeah, but I mean, they
will rule differently because the fact.
They will see the pattern, all right? So, in the case of the president, that was the court of first instance. In the case of the governor, he was lucky because he could go from tribunal, which first gave him the victory. The appeal that turned it, and the Supreme Court gave restored his victory. When we look at what is going on, we have fears that if we don't sanitize our political process thoroughly, right, anybody can go to, as far as you are sure that the judge is going to rule in your favor, they can get your judgment.
No, that's not it. You see, this case, that question you asked, the electoral has already said that you must have been a candidate of that election for you to be able to challenge it, right? Now, if I were in that election, you were in the election, I was in the election, he and he were not in the, they are just maybe delegates. Now, after the election, I won the election, and the two of them now went to court. You understand? The two of them went to go and file their case. We know that they don't have locus. But there was no defense in the suit highlighting that they don't have locus. Is it the court that helped you do the case? You just rest your case on the claimant's case or the petitioner's case, and you are not doing any other thing. So you want the court to now be the one to now go and now tell you that this person don't have. The court will not do that. The court will act based on what is before it. You see, that's what the public don't know. Each time they call the judiciary, that judiciary is this, is that, I don't be laughing. I'll be laughing because, you see, we have a political system that is now excessively judicialized. Okay, why? Is it the judiciary that is going to stand on the road and say politicians bring cases? Is it not because you don't have an electoral system? When the lack of electoral system, when you don't have a, that is, you see, dispute. Okay, you just talk about some persons funding crisis in political parties. Now I'm seeing that as a contestant. Then after the outcome, you expect me not to go to court when I've seen how they are funding crisis and creating problems to make sure I lose. I will go to court. But if you have a political system that makes it impossible for anybody to fund crisis, or for anybody to sell votes and buy same, or for when you have because we have not sanitized our electoral system, we're expecting clean results from the same system. How will it work? You don't clean your house, you expect it not to stink. You understand? So when you have a proper electoral system, you will see that the cases will reduce. Because when people lose, they will know they lost gallantly. When they win, they will know that they work for it and they won clearly. And even if they decide to go to court, it will be easy for the court to make a judgment or to pass a verdict. Okay, so let's look at the electoral system. Because all we do every year, we keep spending money to give our neck so much money. We give our neck so much money, the political parties will start and all that. Then during the election, the electors, the citizens will collude with the politicians. Okay? When they collude the politicians, they will now.
That's a grievous allegation.
Yes, now you know why
to exculpate the judiciary.
No, hold on. The citizens don't do during election. Not to see what go on. We do analysis. We monitor election. They will collude with the politicians, collect money, sell their votes. The politician will use them to carry ballot boxes. Do you see politicians snatching ballot boxes? But that's just. So when they
pockets of them, not everyone.
That's what I'm saying now. I don't know citizens. So when they now finish on
very high fees,
they will now come to court and say,
Okay, talking about this now, looking at the broad letters of the law, it is believed that every case has its own peculiarities. Now, a case can be distinguished on the index of facts or the basis of its circumstances. Also, some cases can be distinguished on some factors which in the line of influences. Now, looking at the final decision, on which peculiarities did Phantom Justice Ekwo give his verdict?
I'm glad you came to the fact. Sometimes I hear them say they file a no case submission.
No, that's for criminal matters. That's for criminal matters.
Then sometimes the court say no, you must put in a defense. Sometimes we've seen courts say that you must put in a defense when it comes to no case submission. They rested their case. The PDP is a big political party. You have to accept that they are not new to litigation. So that they didn't know what to do in court may not be very correct to say. I think that seeing the very manifest defect in what had been filed in court, they knew that this thing will not fly. It won't go anywhere. Yes. So the fact that the judge now looked at the case, see what was clearly, they didn't say I'm candidate. That governor says this is the judgment.
Well, in fact, the PDP, as much as I know, as much as I know, the PDP are not deterred. You know, they say they are going ahead with their campaigns and all. And well, I had wanted to ask, but just for the want of time, you know, where this leaves Shuaibu himself and all that. But let's move on to
let's the layers in the room.
Well, just for the want of time, we have less than 5
Shuaibu is also in court now. His own judgment will come too.
Okay.
It's in court, separate from what you have.
He's been expelled from the party.
Yes, he is not a member of the party, just like you know. So he just wants to fight dirty.
He's been expelled from the party does not mean he does not have a right to litigate. You understand?
But where does that leave him?
The judgment will determine.
All right.
You see the problem. Let me just the last thing. Shuaibu has been expelled from the party. There's something that is forbidden in law, which is judicial legislation. The court cannot turn it into parliament. The man has left. His
expulsion is also a question of litigation. When he was expelled, he also went to court to challenge that expulsion. Do you understand? He's challenging the expulsion together with the primaries, asking the court to declare his own primaries the appropriate one and the other one the frivolous one.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we can go on and on and on this particular case and story, but of course we are hoping for developing stories on this particular matter. But let's move on to the Punch newspaper for today. Yeah. And the big story here says 10 states are battling flood and 21 orders at risk, the federal government warns. And on the top strip of the Punch newspaper, Nigeria to host $5 billion African Energy Bank. Details are on page 21. And also on the top strip of the same newspaper, a federal government plans a $2 trillion economic revival scheme inaugurates a council. NNPC disagrees as report puts petrol debt at $6 billion. Cyril Abako, what is this about Afrexim Bank? We've suddenly, you know, Nigeria or those in administration are falling in love, so much in love with Afrexim Bank. What is up?
Well, you know, first of all, the Afrexim Bank, I think the head of the bank today is a Nigerian, Mr. Orama or Dr. Orama. But that is by the way. The reality is that Nigeria has found it an alternative source of borrowing money. So that's the most I can make of it.
Loan.
Otherwise, it's a bank that's supposed to help facilitate trade, industrialization, agriculture, really. You know, what are banks there to do? Essentially to take monies and then drive investment. So countries are supposed to be able to go to the bank, obtain monies that can help drive to make the African economy, African economies basically see some sort of renaissance. Again, you understand that after the AFCAT was signed, the African, you needed a vehicle that could help to, provide the needed capital.
It's a development bank.
Yeah, development bank. Basically, development economics is basically there to help societies move from underdevelopment into development. But whether Nigeria is making the most of that opportunity is what I don't know. I think the last facility between was $3 billion.
In fact, we just got under $5 billion.
And then and tie it, crude whatever to the bank, and then so the fact is the bank in itself, I think, is a brilliant idea that really is a necessity for Africa today. But whether Nigeria as a country is making the most of that opportunity is a big question that remains to be answered. All right, because
when you tie this to the World Bank loans, how do we differentiate that? Because if we amount them together, we're still owing as so much as possible. So where do we draw the divide between getting from World Bank and getting from Afrexim?
We're owing hugely, but they said in economics that when you are borrowing to develop your economy, that is a good thing. But the only problem we have in Nigeria is that we keep borrowing and the economy is not developing. It's not developing. So it was a subject matter of our African Bar Conference in South Africa last year. This issue, this AF, this thing. Yes, ACT. Yes, that was the team. Okay, and I presented a paper there in South Africa where we're looking at the investment possibilities. In Africa generally and in Nigeria in particular, how this could feed this. It was a brilliant idea, a good one, but sometimes you are looking at the fact, as at that time, we've had, how many countries have signed? There are 33 countries have signed then, okay, to this, and the projections were very clear and all that. But, you know, the issues are that many countries in Africa are barely doing well. So the pressure on the bank itself, okay, is so, because the only way to, even all the banks that are sick today in Nigeria internally, why are they ailing? It's because of bad debt. Okay, they are ailing. So, and you shoot the interest rate to a point where they cannot pay the principal, they cannot pay the interest. Okay, so my fear is that this bank is going to run into that kind of arrangement. You know, the World Bank, there's a threshold you cannot, they look at your economy to determine what you can get, and the possibility of your repayments, which is tied to your GDP and your earning capacity.
Yeah, earning capacity,
okay, that is what this is also about. Nigeria have huge influence over the African space. Okay, so now we're taking these loans. The Chinese loans are still there. Okay, these ones are coming in. But have we really created any strong infrastructure that is generating funds, apart from the seaports, airports, and crude? That we say, what other investments do we have that is giving us the yield that we can use to address all these loans
all the
and all
economic
that?
issues? All right, so let's lastly, John, what we have. Yeah.
The last paper on our decks, the Daily Independent newspaper. And the big story here: President Tinubu moves to inject 2 trillion naira to reflate Nigeria's economy. We have your riders. The president inaugurates Presidential Economy Coordination Council. Health, social welfare, agri, energy, power sectors to benefit. Dangote says economy can be turned around within few months. Details are on page 29.
All right, and we have on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, 18 states FCT to be affected by river flooding in July, federal government warns. And the writer there says cautions of flooding may worsen a ravaging cholera outbreak. Moving on, many feared dead as 2-story building collapses in Anambra State. And the Senate to probe $5.792 billion Mambila hydraulic power project. This will be the last story from my end. Governor Sanwo-Olu clears pension backlog, pays 2,000 pensioners 4.5 billion. All right, so let's get to the flood issue. Just a couple of days back, Lagos State was caught up totally. Every nook and cranny of the city was overboard with water and all. And with knowing that it's the economic hub of the country and sub-Saharan Africa, isn't it really sad to note that in spite of the IGRs that Lagos State makes, it's difficult for them to control a flooding in our country? It's not
difficult. Where we are because of choice. It's not difficult at all. I've read up on the Nigerian flooding situation. It's inevitable that floods will come, but it is possible that we can contain them. How? A city, so what's the Lagos City master plan in the first place? And why don't you have drainages to contain the waters? When they open the dams in Ogun State and all these places, because they have to open them, all right? Sometimes they give you notice and then the dam opens some days before. What have we done? People have built houses where they shouldn't be building houses. Government will not go and enforce it. They go behind, take money, and then keep quiet. You know what I mean? The floods are usually foreseen because it's another phenomenon. So what you do is that you see it coming and you plan, but we don't plan. We don't do anything about it. If the rains came today again, the same floods will still come. What we should have done is to plan ahead and have a proper forecast. Where does the water? Every year the same place is flood. That's what I'm saying. It's the same place every year. So what do? You plan. But we don't do any kind of planning. Let me take you back. The one that comes from Cameroon, the Futa Jalon and whatever it is they call it, they suggested that we needed to build some more dams around Kogi and Benue also to take in the water. A wedge. And what do you do with that water? It can power electricity. You build dams actually. What you should fear is, should the dam burst? The dam shouldn't burst actually. But so you create dams to take in the water. That's one thing you can do. For Lagos State, more than 40 years of social science research. And what they talk about how Lagos, how the master tactician of Lagos made Lagos into whatever it is has become with. In 2019,
it did not make anything.
It didn't make nothing. In 2019, it was May 29, and then about a month later, the rains came. Just about this kind of period. In one Sunday of rains, all the roads in Lagos, I mean virtually all the roads in Lagos, went bad. So much so that somebody did a picture and said, put a picture of Governor Sanwo-Olu and said, missing person, last seen May 29, 2019. If you see him, please call his owners or something like that. Because the governor, now it was in 2019 we were beginning to remake those like Ighodalo Road. That was the first major road in Lagos. Ighodalo Road was the first road leading in and out of Lagos, because if you went all the way to Ighodalo from the garage, if you made a left, it now took you all the way to Ighodalo also. That was the first major road in and out of Lagos.
Wow.
And in 2019 it was being remade. So tell me, a government that can go and resurface Third Mainland, Barrister, let me take a detour. You recall you and I having a discussion about Third Mainland Bridge when it was remade. Somebody was riding a bicycle. It was, and I was pessimistic. You said why was I being pessimistic? That it was a good thing. Weeks later there was a headline saying that they went to resurface Third Mainland Bridge again. You can't be resurfacing bridges and roads and claim that. It means you've left off even the major things you should be doing and focusing on petty. So that's where we are. Government lacks vision. If I had a vision, we should have planned for this thing, because every year the same place flood, the rains will come. So, but what do you do in Japan, where, and even the Netherlands? Okay, Netherlands means lands that are under. Netherlands means under. The Dutch people claim that God gave them water, that they made the land. And we don't hear of these disasters in the Netherlands. In Japan, where the hurricanes or earthquakes are always coming up and down. They still find the way of living.
Manage it.
They're able to manage it. Even in India, all the monsoon and so, but they're able to manage these things. Why is it that we who are in the tropics, who have no problems with just mere rains, we can't contain it and can't contain floods?
Thank you.
It just shows that we lack the vision to plan and to do what is right.
Thank you. Barrister Feli, in 60 seconds, can you share your thoughts with us as a wrap up?
Yes, I listened to the Labour Party, governorship candidate on Channels TV when he talked about, he's an architect, so he on that interview, he gave a kind of solution as to what can be done to take this thing off. You mentioned Netherlands. Netherlands is sitting on top of the Atlantic Ocean, on the Pacific Ocean rather. Okay, it's just, but we need a government that have the technical know-how and the creativity to do so. It's not enough to go and be marking buildings, then you go around and collect money again. Let's have a planned city where you channel water proper. And Lagos State government is part of the problem. There are some feelings, some part of the Third Mainland Bridge now. There's some field, the Oshokias by the left. You see that some field. That place used to absorb water. You understand? Now in some field, the water is now overpacked. That is why you see that if you go to Akpombo, because they have some field, Kuramo Beach, and they have some field part of Elegushi. Now you see the water hitting at Akpombo, the road. Very soon it will overflow that road or cut that road into two. That is the road from Kata Bridge down. So those problems are problems that the government can look into and solve it. Because Kuramo Beach now, you say you want to turn it to Dubai, that's Axis. And Dangote and the rest of them, you've collected money from them and all that. And you are not thinking about the side effect or the aftermath of that decision that you took. That is why we're having this, because for the last 8 years now, it rained only 10 hours. 10 hours, that's what caused that havoc. I remember in 2009 when it rained for 16 hours non-stop. And this had led to the death and disappearance of a lot of people. There was a young boy that water carried, Joshua, that used to be the only son of a woman. And her house got burnt on the 29th of last month. Then on the 2nd of this month, water carried her child. The boy is in primary 4. And that's the end of that. So you see that decisions, actions and inactions of government. On that day, a lot of people were caught up. Some people couldn't get to work. Okay, So we're getting to a situation now because of our inactions where it looks like we are now in Russia, where if you don't look at the weather condition, you can't step out of your house. You have to check and double check. You can even be arrested if you don't do what you ought to do and you are found outside and the weather is not friendly. You understand? So, and we're in the tropics, and that is our condition now because we've used our own hands to make our environment in such a way that we'll not be able to cope with it. So I don't know what the Sanwo-Olu government, I don't know their plan on flooding and all that, but I know they made one of my friends gutter minister. Is it gutter DG or something? Drainage and gutter.
And I think he has been relieved of it.
Yeah, he has been relieved, but I don't know how much work he put in there because now we're having problems.
Yeah, very, very so unfortunate. Foreign analysts years back made research and concluded that Lagos was the big urban slum. You know, there were lots of people, you know, came for her, you know, but that's basically what we are experiencing, and that's so very unfortunate if you ask me.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I want to say a big thank you to Barrister Ofili and Cyril Abako. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on. And when we return, Courts of Appeal reinstates pro-Wike lawmakers in Rivers State. Well, that looks like more trouble for Governor Sim Fubara. That conversation is up next. Stay with us.